Look familiar? Who hasn't played Tetris at least once in their lives? It appeals to all ages of people all over the world. But where did this game come from? And how has it changed over the years?
Most people actually don't know, but Tetris had a very discreet start. The game was developed by a man named Alexei Pajitnov in 1984 in the Soviet Union. When Alexei was a child, he fell in love with a puzzle game named Pentnominos. This game involved taking several different wooden pieces and placing them to form a rectangle. This is where Alexei got his first ideas for Tetris. Alexei worked for an AI programming company where he spent most of his time programming until he started to experiment with game-making software. His first version of Tetris had no color and didn't keep score. Alexei used to spend hours playing and developing the game until some people in the company saw it and developed interest in it as well. Alexei was very proud of his simple yet addictive game and wanted to share it with the world. Alexei made copies of the game and started giving them to people to demo. Alexei attempted to get Tetris licensed over the course of a few years, but during the process the Soviet Union found out about his game. They confiscated all versions of the game and took ownership for the development of it. Nintendo then bought the license for it and released it in the year 1989.
Over time, 60 different versions of Tetris have been released, starting from the original version to even a Pokemon version of it. As mentioned in the first part of the video, Nintendo released their first version of Tetris in 1989. The next version of Tetris that was released by Nintendo was called Tetris 2 in 1991. The only difference with this game is that the blocks fell apart whenever they were placed. Super Tetris was also released in 1991 and added bomb Tetraminos as an addition to the game. This feature was removed from later versions of Tetris. In 1995, Tetris Plus was released. This version featured two-player compatibility and had much more vibrant colors for the Tetraminos in the game. 3 years later, in 1998, the first 3D version of Tetris came out. The obvious difference between this one and other versions was that this one was in 3D. This did not catch on with the fans though, so it died out with newer versions. In 2002, Tetris Versus was released. The difference in this version was that you battled against another player and tried to defeat them by sending Tetraminos over. In 2009, Tetris Access was released, and this game featured some of the same concepts that the previous versions of the game had. Finally, the latest version of Tetris was released in 2014 called Puyo Puyo Tetris. Along with Tetris Access, this version of Tetris didn't have anything new to offer. The phenomenon about all of this is how long Tetris has lasted as a franchise. The game has such a simple concept, yet somehow people of all ages seem to enjoy the game.